With that, we are off to fan favorites, shout outs and rants. Mr. Kelly has a hard stop, so we're going to ask him to go first, then back over to Jonathan, Karen, and I'll clean up.
Thank you, Tom. There is certainly quite a lot to choose from here with rants, but I suppose I really wanted to zero in on the news happening this morning that President Trump has pardoned Trevor Milton, convicted fraudster. He of the Nikola Motors Corporation, which in the 2010s, late 2010s, was one of the stock market darlings in alternative energy, where he was building zero emission trucks. That turned out to be a fraud. He was convicted of fraud in 2022, sentenced to 4 years in prison. And the one detail I loved that really summed up and captured the fraud he was trying to perpetrate, he had a video of a zero emission truck that he posted on YouTube rolling along at high speed. However, it subsequently came out that when they recorded that video, the truck was in neutral, coasting downhill, and he had recorded it by framing his camera and holding it the correct way to make it look like it was on a flat surface when it was not. Anyways, Mr. Milton has been in prison for a couple of years. Now he's going to be out because President Trump has pardoned him. Fun fact number one is that Mr. Milton's attorneys were Brad Bondi. If that name rings a bell, it's because he is brother of Attorney General Pamela Bondi, although Mr. Bondi says he was not involved with the appeal for a pardon. However, his other attorney was Michael Mukasey, who, if you remember way back, was acting attorney general back during the waning days of the Trump administration. And Mr. Mukasey was a lawyer for, you guessed it, Donald Trump. He filed a friend of the court brief. So I might stand corrected. I'm not sure if he actually was representing Mr. Trump during the Mar-a-Lago case, but he absolutely was involved in filing friend of the court briefs on Mr. Trump's behalf. And then fun fact number three, Trevor Milton donated $2 million to various Trump PACs this past election cycle, compared to his previous political donations, which were 10,000 here, 10,000 there, that kind of thing. Now he dropped $2 million to support Donald Trump in 2024, while working with a couple of different attorneys who were very close with the Trump administration. And now, lo and behold, we have a fraudster who is going to be out. This clearly stinks to high heaven. Just another example of the lack of attention to any sort of accountability or any attention to the corruption that goes on here. Probably not the last time we're going to see this. Mr. Milton now says he's going to make a movie about his story and how he was, in fact, the victim here. But that is that.
Mr. Armstrong.
I just wanted to pause for a moment to send my sympathies and condolences with the emerging news in Myanmar/Burma, Thailand, and China, who've been affected by the earthquake. But I wanted to move on to shout out to Russell Brand, the former comedian and one-time actor, who exposed some might say conspiracy theory, some might say absolute truth, that JFK was shot by Penelope Keith, the British comic actress. For those not familiar with the work of Miss Keith, I'd urge you to look at The Good Life on YouTube. She's also in another sitcom called To the Manor Born, where she has a somewhat fractious relationship with her chauffeur/butler. Presumably it was part of that oeuvre that Brand echoed in his seminal work Arthur, the remake of the famous Dudley Moore film. But it's hard to contextualize how big a revelation that is for those who are not familiar with the work of Penelope Keith. I guess the closest I could give you is put yourself back to June 1914. You're in Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand is driving along in his car and he's shot by the Golden Girls. I think that's the sort of level of revelation that Brand's work is here. Now, Brand complains frequently that theories of his have no audience in the mainstream media. And there might be three reasons for that, it seems to me. First of all, conspiracy theories like that are often nonsense. Secondly, the mainstream media doesn't feature stories like this because they're nonsense. And thirdly, governments don't comment on stories like this because they're nonsense. Brand, thanks for raising the issues, but maybe we won't come back to you for your forensic evidence behind all of this.
Karen Moore, when you stop laughing, can you share with us a shout out or rant?
Oh, can I also say hashtag free the Golden Girls?
Yes, I'm kind of sorry to follow on that because I think it's nice to end on a laugh, and I'm not going to be talking about something humorous. I want to talk about fear and anxiety rather than fear and loathing, I suppose. The kind of anxiety I grew up with, the fact that we were all going to die because Russia was going to bomb us with a nuclear bomb and atom bomb. That was kind of the pervasive fear. I think the anxiety for that has gone into the background, although it's still there. We all know now that duck and cover doesn't work, although I engaged in duck and cover exercises in school. No, I would like to talk about fear and anxiety at the moment as evidenced by my recent trip to England. Nothing really to do with the UK itself, however, but my child, who's a grown-up, expressed several layers of anxiety as we attended her uncle's same-sex marriage after having flown transatlantically and also anticipating the flight home with her green card holding father. Anxiety that my child and their contemporary and peers may not be able to engage safely or even legally in same-sex marriage in the near future, that the flight safety was in question as we came over back and forth, not only on a Boeing, but also with reliance on US air traffic control efficacy, and that her green card carrying dad might be denied entry into the US, and therefore where would we go and live if not? I think it's really sad that a 25-year-old living in today's first world leader of democracy country should be concerned about the safety of same-sex marriage, of a transatlantic flight, and of the legal ability of an immigrant to re-enter and live safely in the United States. Fear and anxiety, I'm sorry, to follow up on Jonathan, I'm a huge Penelope Keith fan. When I first got engaged to my English husband, I had to be immersed in the sitcoms of his youth, including The Good Life and To the Manor Born, as well as some even way less funny sitcoms. But we can do those another day.
I'm going to suggest that if Trump really wants to go out, he needs to, in short order, pardon Sam Bankman-Fried and Elizabeth Holmes. But that's based on Matt's shout out. Actually, I'm going to shout out to opening day of Major League Baseball circa 2025. Yes, baseball is back in all its glory. And I'm going to specifically shout out to my hometown heroes, the Houston Astros, who beat the New York Mets. Jose Altuve, after 12 seasons at second base, moves to left field. Josh Harder struck out Juan Soto to end the game with runners on base. Juan Soto, he of $300 million contract fame. But the best was Cam Smith. Cam Smith was a first-year rookie and had his first at-bat in front of his parents, friends, and family. He got a hit. So shout out to Cam Smith, shout out to the Houston Astros, and shout out to Major League Baseball. Guys, as always, this has been a ton of fun. I can't wait till we get back together.